Hello everyone and welcome to Life Lessons Inside of Movies. And I gotta be honest with you guys that I might be on a little bit of a Rachel McAdams high, seeing that I've already done Southpaw, I've done The Notebook, and now I'm doing About Time. So to give you guys a quick recap of this movie, spoiler warning, always to be safe throughout the video. This is a movie about a man named Tim. On his 21st birthday, his dad tells him he can travel in time. But it's not your typical sci-fi adventure. It's almost if I were to tell you you could travel in time, what would you do with it? Probably go back in time, try to fix your mistakes, and organize your life. Now, this movie starts off when he's very young, he's dorky, and he's awkward. And then it transitions into the love story, but it only lasts about 30 minutes. But what I like about this movie is it talks about what happens after the happily ever after. What happens after the wedding? Life, kids, family, and drama happens. So I'm just going to jump right into this. And the number one life lesson in this movie is how to use your gift. Very early on, the dad tells Tim, you could travel in time. And Tim's like, well, what am I supposed to do with it? And the dad, very enthusiastic, says, you got to use it to make your life the way that you want it to be. Now, whatever your gift is out there, whether you like mowing lawns, washing cars, you got an eye for organization, graphic detailing, whatever it is, the whole purpose of the gift, besides the fact for you to help out your fellow man and contribute to society, is for you to use it to construct your life. Because if you're doing something that you genuinely care about, that you genuinely like, and you have a passion for, all of a sudden you start constructing your life around it, and life becomes a lot more simpler. Life becomes more enjoyable. But here's the thing, is that if you do not do this, somebody else out there will construct your life for you. And it may not be in the way that you want. So the whole purpose of your gift is for you to construct your life in the way that you best see fit. Now, number two. In the movie, he wants love. That's what he's going to use his gift for. That's what he wants to attract, is love. So he falls in love with his very first crush, whatever you want to call it, and her name is Charlotte, played by Margot Robbie. Well, she ends up spending the night for 2 months over at his sister's house, which they basically live in the same house. Well, he doesn't know how to approach her. He ends up going to her on the last night and tells her, hey, I like you. What are we going to do about this? She's like, well, you should have asked me on the first night. So he goes back in time, goes and asks her on the first night, and then she says, well, ask me on the last night. Let's see what happens. He goes back to the last night, and nothing ever happens. How many of you guys can relate to this? To you pray to God out there and you're just saying, like, if you just grant me this one wish, I promise I will never ask anything again. That is the only thing I want. If you grant that, I will be happy and grateful for the rest of my life. And it falls right through the cracks. Pretty sure a lot of you guys can relate to that. But here's the kicker about life. Is that life loves coming full circle. Later on in the movie, Charlotte comes back into his life. Now she wants him. They're standing outside her hotel room and she's like, do you want to come inside? He's like, no. And he takes off running and proposes to Mary. So life will sometimes come full circle and dangle what you first asked for. Hey, remember how you wanted this? Well, guess what? If you would have got this, you wouldn't have had what you have now. So I guess that song is true. Sometimes I thank God for unanswered prayers. Because although you didn't get your first initial prayer, doesn't mean that the backup plan is going to be worse. And sometimes the backup plan is even greater than what you originally asked for. Now, number three. One of my favorite scenes throughout the movie is the wedding scene. They come out of the wedding, it's raining, the tent gets torn open, everybody gets soaked, they have to go inside, and it's a complete disaster by everybody else's standards. But he's sitting there, he's talking with Mary, and he's looking at her. Would you have wanted to pick a less wet day? She kind of taps him on the leg. No, not for the world. Sometimes the imperfect is perfect. Human beings, we love to be in control of everything. We like to feel like we have a grip on everything around us. But it's life. There's so many moving parts that we can't always have the white picket fence, the big house, the nice behaved children, the most beautiful wife on the block. Sometimes we're going to get second best. Sometimes we're going to get third best. But imperfect is sometimes perfect. If you create a flawless life, there is nothing unique about it. Let me give you an example. How many of you guys out there want to say that your partner is the best looking person out there? Even though they might not be. But it's the flaws in them that you like. It's the way that they wear their hair. It's the way that they smile at you. It's the little birthmark. It's the way that they smell. And that is the reason why you would never choose a flawless person over your partner. It's because the flaws that make them unique. So, it's a life lesson in itself. Sometimes don't try to be in control of everything. Sometimes life will just come. You won't have the nicest stuff, but it makes you cherish what you have in a sense. Now, number 4. Naturally, if you become good at your gift, whatever it is, you're going to get resources, whether it's money, whether it's connections. And this is going to allow you the ability to help everybody else out. Help your family, help friends, help your community, help whoever. But here's the thing that this movie pointed out to me, is that do not exhaust all your resources helping everybody else out. There was twice in the movie where Tim almost royally screwed his life up. He helped out his landlord, ends up erasing the time where he ever met his wife. Helps out his sister, ends up erasing the time where his daughter was ever born. There's that saying, if you guys ever go into a plane, where if the mask come down, does it say put the mask on your child first, or does it say put the mask on yourself first? It says put it on yourself, because guess what? If you put the mask on yourself, before you know it, you have resources to where you can literally help everybody else around you. But there's a chance if you put the mask on your child's face first, you will pass out. Before you know it, you can't help anybody else out. So that's the whole point to this, is that do not exhaust yourself taking on everybody else's problems. Because all of a sudden your problems get put on the back burner, and then when it's time for you to fix your problems, 1, you're going to be out of resources, or 2, you're just going to be too tired to do it. So make sure that you're fit first before you go out there and you try to save the whole world. If you're fine, go out there and help as many people as you want. And number 5 is going to make this pill a little bit easier to swallow, because I understand that's a hard life lesson. Number 5, sometimes life is the best teacher. Sometimes life doesn't need your influence in a sense. So when the sister comes into play, she's drinking, she ends up getting into a car accident. Tim tries to erase the time period where she ever got into a car accident, but then he kind of realizes she needs this. So he allows her to get into a car accident. They're sitting there, and he's like, we're not going to leave here until you fix this. And all of a sudden, after 2 days, then she kind of realizes, this is what I need to do with my life. So without him even intervening, she was able to make sense of everything. Now, number 6. There was 4 times in this movie where it flat out told you, this is a life lesson, this is what it's like, this is the blueprint. And not all life lessons are peaches. Sometimes life lessons are hard. And this one, sometimes the real troubles are things that never cross your weary mind. Again, we like to act like we're in control of everything, but sometimes life will punch you in the face. There is nothing you can prepare. You can prepare for 99 things, and it's the 100th thing that will get you. Some people like to be in control. This makes people feel uncomfortable. I just want to say, just roll with the punches. That's just life, and I don't know. Now, number 6. Again, another hard one. Sometimes to say hello to the future means you have to say goodbye to your past. And again, a lot of people want to say, well, I can say goodbye to my past. I hated my past. I hated my childhood. I hated everything about it. But that also means saying goodbye to the good things. Every single day in life, we're constantly progressing. We're constantly growing. Now, when there's a situation that happens where you want to hold on to the past, I understand it may take 2-3 years to get over it. Sometimes it even takes a decade. But as cold as this may sound, you got to get over it as quickly as you can. Because as life's constantly progressing, before you know it, 10 years will pass, 20 years, pray to God, not 40 years will pass. But then you're going to look back and you're going to say, I never moved on. What did I do with my life? And that, in my opinion, is one of the biggest failures anyone can ever have. Now, number 8. Having a baby. It might be because I'm young that I'm always used to the negative advice that comes with a baby, which is, oh, you ruined your life. Oh, great, there goes your time and there goes your sleep. There's just so much negativity that comes that I've always heard with having a baby. What I like about this movie is that it's almost poetic in the way that they describe the baby. It's very accurate, but it doesn't mean that your life's over. They hand the baby to Tim and he's like, it's amazing how I'm totally responsible for this whole other creature. It's amazing how people that I love show their love and affection to this baby. How we have to move into a place that we just completely cannot afford because we need more room. And so I feel it's a more accurate representation of having a baby and not the constant life where people are just throwing punches. Oh, you ruined your life. Yes, it's hard, but yes, it's beautiful. Now, number 9. This is what I believe that the whole movie was about. What is the key to happiness? The dad tells him, live your life with all the stress and everything that's going on, all the hectic and chaos of life. He goes through life, he's frustrated. He comes back home, he says, I'm just going to go to sleep. He ends up waking up, and then his dad tells him, now you go back in time and notice all the beauty that's in there. So he goes back in time, and he just chooses to smile. He chooses to interact with people. And one of the biggest things that I saw, and I had to watch this movie twice for me to notice it, is he goes into the cafe, he buys some stuff, and the camera's focused on him the very first time he goes. He's not looking at anybody else. He takes off and he leaves. He goes back in time, and all of a sudden he notices that the cashier is smiling at him. So even through the same day, the very hard day that he had, there is still beauty throughout the day. And as generic as this may sound, one of the keys to it is just to look up and smile. Because when you're pissed off, when you feel like you're having a bad day, what do you naturally do? You tilt your head down. You just look down and you want to block everything else. You want to put yourself in this big old cocoon. Just look up. And you will instantly notice the beauty in the world. Which in the movie it says that is the key to happiness. Now lastly, number 10. This life lesson was not talked about in the movie. It's just me watching it. This was the impression that it gave me. Time travel gave Tim the ability to figure out what he really, really cares about. Now, I know that you and me cannot time travel, but just play a game with me for a second. Thanksgiving's coming up right now. Thanksgiving's a holiday that a lot of people take for granted. It's Black Friday shopping, or Christmas is just around the corner. But let me ask you a question. How was Thanksgiving 10 years ago? I'm pretty sure a lot has changed. Maybe you were a lot younger. You weren't responsible for cooking. You got to play with your cousins. The family wasn't broken up through marriage or fighting, so everybody was together. Or maybe there was somebody that was there 10 years ago that's no longer with you today. I bet you a lot of you guys will want to give up this Thanksgiving to go back and just spend one more Thanksgiving with your friends, with your family, with your loved ones that are no longer here. Now, come back to today and fast forward 10 years from now. What do you think is going to change? Your kids may be a lot older. Again, marriages might come into play. People might move, break families apart. Or maybe that there's somebody that's with you right now that you know they may not be around in 10 years. Now, how many of you guys would give up that Thanksgiving 10 years in the future to come back to today? No, we don't have the ability to time travel, but we have the ability to anticipate. We have the ability to read into the future in a sense. And so if you can predict what the future has to hold, you could be more appreciative for the day that you have now. You could be more appreciative for the Thanksgiving that's coming up. So those are my life lessons inside of About Time. What did you guys see in the movie? Because like I said, this is a big life movie. What did you guys see? What did you guys hear? Maybe you guys caught something that I may have missed. Hit me up on Twitter at ChristianG7752. I challenge you guys to really go watch this movie, because although at some points this movie is very, very slow, this movie leaves a really good taste in your mouth. And it leaves you inspired. And it's not your typical love story for the guys out there. Go and watch this movie. I guarantee you'll look at life a whole lot differently. So remember, guys, not all movies are meant to entertain us. Some were made to teach us. So until next time, thank you guys for listening.